everybody. My name is Podok, and welcome to the Geeky Puppet Show. We are here today to talk about Ant-Man Quantumania. And before we actually get into the discussion of this spoiler review, if you don't want any spoilers, you better go away. Before we get into it, let's meet my fellow co-host for the evening. To my side, Small Green Mean. Also watching it, not like Breen, he is Froggy.
Hi, I'm Froggy.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And finally, what is a movie review stream without it being authenticated by Dalton, the authenticator?
Good evening, everyone.
That's right.
That's right. We poached him from the other channel.
So, yesterday, Ant-Man 3 released. And, you know, I've been excited about this film, mainly because the villain of this film is Kang in his full force. Not
and
like
it
we
takes
saw him.
place in Chicago.
No, not in Chicago. It'd be a very strange place in Chicago if it was in Chicago. But no, within the quantum realm. And getting right into some of the spoilers of how this story breaks down, one thing I did appreciate was how fast we go ahead and get a touch in on Scott's life. It's pretty great. He's writing books, he's selling books, and his daughter is in jail from time to time.
Kids, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? And that's pretty much how they deal with it. But no, we do get pretty quickly it revealed that Hank Pym has been working with his kind of adopted granddaughter in a way, if you want to think about it that way, on a project dealing with the quantum realm. As we know, they got Janet from it.
Quantum probe, basically.
They sent a probe, that's right. What could go wrong? Everything goes wrong.
All the things.
All the things go wrong. And Janet this entire movie could have been avoided if Janet had told them what the hell was wrong with quantum realm.
That was one of those moments where I was like, I really hate the trope where people withhold information in an effort to protect people, because it's just like, you do realize that unlike unlike what the proverb says, ignorance is not bliss. What you don't know can very easily hurt you. So it's probably better for everyone involved to have as much knowledge as they can, so they know what they're going into.
Yeah.
But no, because we have to be dramatic about it. So.
Well, to be fair, there's got to be a lot of trauma from spending 30 years in a strange world, and
another dimension.
Yeah, especially when you're getting banged by Bill Murray.
Yes.
I guess one of the proton packs malfunctioned and zapped him into another dimension. That seems like a thing that would happen to him.
Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
Talking broccoli.
He's the version of Peter Venkman where Gozer won and they all had to zap themselves into the quantum realm to escape.
So the thing is that Janet goes ahead, and it's actually like halfway through the movie. Before that, he's just referenced as him. Yeah, it's to keep him nice and ominous, even though we all know who it is. But Janet explains how she basically is responsible for the quantum realm itself with its own life, its own world. Goes ahead and reveals that she is responsible for the massive empire that was formed by Kang the Conqueror, played by the brilliant Jonathan Majors. I've been excited ever since the end of Loki to fully see Kang at full power. And this was
and you still haven't seen him at full power. I think
this is half power.
This is just stage one, Kang. They're gonna do the Highlander thing.
It's so good.
They're gonna do the Highlander meets Doomsday thing, where each iteration of him gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and eventually it's gonna be like this cosmic level Kang.
So that's one thing that I think is very interesting, especially with Kang and how he talks in this movie. He speaks actually not just because it's the same actor playing the same version of a different version of the character, but he had a very similar goal to He Who Remains from the end of Loki. He says that he wants to stop himself. That's why they banished him. The other kings got a hold of him, sent him into the quantum realm because
They were like, we can't deal with this guy. Fuck off, you.
Yeah. And that's one.
Pretty
But
much, yes, I agree.
yes. But Michelle Pfeiffer still is a beautiful woman. You can't stay mad at her for long.
I thought they're gonna say that her and our Jonathan Majors got it on.
Bang, and it's not that much of a stretch, is it?
Wrong franchise.
Now all I can think of is the phrase "Kang gangbang." Thanks
Oh
for that.
no! Don't, please, for the love of God.
Okay, but there are multiple different versions of Kang, so
It's
he
getting
literally
worse.
could.
It's getting worse. I don't need that thought. Let's get back
I'm
to
just gonna
this.
say that if you're saying it's a stretch, that's the wrong book, sir. That's the FF.
Well, okay, but Kang
It's okay.
usually is
It's
Nathaniel
done.
Richards, so I mean the stretchiness is kind of
No,
family
it's okay.
trait.
We're done. She show is, Jay. Yes.
Damn Skippy.
So, as every Ant-Man movie has been, there has to be a heist. So, what is the heist here? Well, it seems that Janet, in giving Kang power in the quantum realm, managed to limit his power because he was going to escape.
Yes, because so basically Kang wanted to basically work with Janet and getting it out, so they trying to repower his ship until after she built this sphere thing to charge it, and as soon as she touched his ship, because his ship is connected to his thoughts, she saw how he's been just basically conquering planets and destroying people, millions and millions of people.
She got the Rick and Morty style summary of here's my emotionally scarring backstory, and then she was like, "Oh shoot,
It's very important. Yes, technically it's planets and stuff, but it's not.
Galaxies.
It is
multiverses.
Yes, entire universes in the multiverse. He has been chomping them down. This Kang is a lot like the Kang we see at the end of Loki. He wants to stop himself. He wants to go ahead and make himself a great sacred timeline and manage it to a point. Slaughtering trillions doesn't really matter because it's going to be worse if he doesn't do it.
Yeah, it's like I could worry about slaughtering these various alternate universes within the multiverse, but if I'm successful, none of them will exist anyway, so win.
So because she sees this, she betrays him, takes his power core from his ship,
the multiversal engine.
Yes, and throws some pin particles on it, which causes it to get super big,
and it blows it up.
Yeah, well, it doesn't explode, but it does get huge.
Yeah,
and
it turns it basically from a defined mini black hole into a literal black hole that distorts time around it.
Yes,
except
like a giant sun, almost.
Except for the core.
Yes. So anyway, because of this, now that Kang is basically brought them all back down to there, he needs pin particles to shrink it down. So of course, Cassie ends up being kidnapped, and they basically take Scott Lang, and it says, "I won't kill your daughter. If you go and you fix this for me.
You grab this for me. Your daughter will live. You'll have your daughter. I'll let you survive." Because honestly, he doesn't care. So it does lead to a pretty great scene where he does get down there. He gets into the core chamber to go ahead and put the necessary PIM particles into it to shrink it back down to size. However, another version of him
it's a
splits
multiverse
out.
engine, so he has to deal with basically his timeline being shattered, and basically it's that scene from it's that crystal device from Rick and Morty where every time he tries to make a decision, it spawns another version of him.
I've never seen Rick and Morty. All I know is that one clip about Rick saying, Morty, you have to shove this up your ass. And that's it. And at that moment I decided I don't need to see this show.
You should watch it. It's better than you would think from that single example.
So
I've done it too many times up my ass, Morty. It would just fall out.
Before all this happens, before the Cassie gets kidnapped, they come across a bunch of people, and they learn about how Kang is basically enslaved them. We get Jen Tora, played by Kitty O'Brien. She's the leader of the people, and there, after being kidnapped, taken hostage, Cassie says like, "Yeah, drink the juice." And he's like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh, drink the juice." And you said also all the aliens that are speaking in different languages all speak English now. It's basically like a multi language basically like communication translator. Yes, and there's this little pink blob guy
with no holes.
Like, he's like, oh, he's touching and basically Paul Rudd's, he's like, how many holes do you have? He's like, like, I wish I had holes. And this is like getting very, really homoerotic a little bit. And I was a little uncomfortable from this guy.
Wait, only homoerotic? Wait, do women not have holes?
Well, there's another guy there who basically he's a telepath and says he has 7 holes.
And he has to count. And you know what? Everybody in that theater started counting right there. 7? 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, yeah, 7. Sounds about right.
Catherine Newton is pretty cool as Cassie Lang. Those who know Kathy Newton, she was, I believe that's the same actress from that Vince Vaughn movie. The one where they switch bodies.
Yes, she was.
Also, she was also over on Supernatural for a while. As Cassie Novak, or Cassandra, or Jimmy Novak's daughter.
Wow, she's much better now. So much better now.
Oh, right. Right. Castiel's vessel there.
Claire Novak. Yep.
Yeah. I didn't need to remember that, Froggy. I never.
You know why? Because I don't know why. Because she was actually awesome on the show.
I mean, yeah, she played, Castiel possessing a little girl really well in that one subplot where that was necessary.
Well, that's called freaky, yeah.
Anyway, just to go ahead and wrap up. Well, not wrap up because
get back on to the
get back on the topic. Going ahead and briefly explaining what happens in the movie. They get it. They do get the core, actually, with the help of the Wasp, because they come in right at the same time because they are trying to thwart Kang. And little do they know, Kang's already there. He's already sending down Ant-Man.
Yeah, so Ant-Man goes into the core as he shrinks down, keeps shrinking, goes about 3 or 4 times, finds inside the core, and then all of a sudden he starts multiplying.
Yes. It takes many of him. How many Ant-Mans does it take to screw in a light bulb?
I love the World War Z kind of reference.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. You know what also was fun? Baskin Robbins.
But also,
Ant-Man.
It makes sense because they all look like ants trying to stack up on top of each other so they can reach one spot.
Ant-Man was the ants he made along the way.
So the Wasp comes in. There's like 1,000 Wasp Ant-Mans, and they manage to basically just shrink down the core back to normal size. But I gotta say though, there's one character on here that we haven't talked. We kind of glossed over him. His name's Darren.
He's such a dick.
Yes, Darren. If you don't remember, he was basically Yellow Jacket in the first movie.
Yeah, Yellow Jacket in the first. Yellow Jacket in the first movie got quantum vaporized and it distorted his body, and now he's a version of MODOK.
Yes, thanks to Kang turned her into MODOK with a C. I think it was.
No, it's with the K.
Oh, is it with the K now?
It's
for killing.
The acronym is The acronym is mental organism designed only for killing. So yeah, it's a K.
As Paul points out, there's an F in there. Kind of weird.
Yeah, To be fair,
It's
as
always been that
someone
way.
who also is really pedantic whenever he hears an acronym like that, it does bother me when they just skip over certain words. It is kind of annoying. So I'm glad
Yeah.
someone actually mentioned it.
It's supposed to be MODOK. But guess what? Listen. You're going to hear people complain like they did whenever they saw the glimpse of him in the trailer. Here's the thing. No, it's not Ben Graham. He looks great. He looks just like MODOK.
The comic book character.
You know how MODOK looks, right? He is a giant freaking head with tiny arms and legs. He looks like MODOK.
Okay, I'm split on this because I do think it could have been handled better.
How?
I just think it's one of those things that could have used a render or two in the editing bay and probably would have worked better.
I disagree.
That being said, that wasn't the thing that bothered me about MODOK. The thing that bothered me about MODOK was they kind of Mandarined him a little bit in the sense that they turned Yellow Jacket into him rather than letting him be his own character, and that actually bothers me more than the MODOK design. I'm getting really sick of, even though the whole point of the MCU is we can have all these characters coexisting and they don't have to unnecessarily bleed into each other. I'm getting sick of, we're going to do the Mandarin, but he's not going to be the Mandarin, and we're going to do MODOK, but he's not really going to be MODOK, and it's like,
Dalton,
okay, but no.
Dalton, who cares about MODOK? Nobody cares about MODOK. He's a joke.
I care about MODOK.
No, you don't care
about
MODOK. You care about the thought of MODOK. And I do too, but I think MODOK...
But speaking of the Mandarin, because this does in fact come full circle, I really like MODOK because I saw him on the 90s Iron Man animated series, and I'd like to see a version of MODOK that's actually MODOK. Please.
You know where MODOK should have been placed in? Iron Man 3, teaming up with AIM.
Or in the Fantastic Four. He could have shown up in Fantastic Four at some point.
No, they've gotten rid of, because Iron Man's gone, they took away a lot of what Iron Man should be facing. But anyway, I care about MODOK. What if a Vine lawyer became...
I don't see your point.
What if a Vine lawyer became MODOK Life Matters?
Okay. Actually, if they're gonna play with this satirical multiverse concept, if there is a universe out there where Matt Murdock is actually MODOK, I want that.
Everyone's MODOK except for MODOK,
and then his name is Mo Devil.
That's like that is the kind of joke. And I stress that it must be a joke. Do not, for the love of God, make it an actual plot point. But if they're passing through the multiverse like they did in Multiverse of Madness in that one scene, and there's a universe where Charlie Cox is playing MODOK, and it's implied that Matt Murdock was turned into MODOK, I'd be okay with that. I would support that message.
I have to know: is he the MODOK without fear?
Life so matters.
Well, I mean, he's designed only for killing, and and fear isn't particularly useful for killing. Presumably similar to the Daleks in Doctor Who. So yeah, he would be the MODOK without fear because killing it would be useful to an organism designed only for killing to not have fear. Presumably, kind of like a Dalek.
Yeah, I think that Maranya has a point.
A
random flunky becoming MODOK instead of utilizing a character from the first movie that ties into Ant-Man personally. Yeah, especially with MODOK, misportrayed. It's MODOK.
But he's MODOK is the thing, and MODOK is important. God
in defense of this character design for the movie, they knew he's a joke. There's a scene where they're lifting him up, he's naked, and they show his bare butt cheeks.
Yeah, his MODOK butt cheeks.
And the he goes into the suit in the chair.
Yeah. But I thought that actually that whole rendering of him explaining his story and that all happening, I thought that was cool. I think that when he wasn't actually doing the silly Darren part, he looked perfect. When he had his mask off, he looked perfect. his battle mask. Rhaegar, I just threw him on Molotov cocktail at AMC.
I support this act of pop culture based terrorism. And boy, is that ever gonna get quote mine to hell if ever I become.
Yes, and I just gotta say, he'll never get ahead in life again.
So yes, MODOK is
getting ahead isn't his issue. It's being embodied that's the problem. But
And what a face he is.
The face only a mad scientist could love.
But even then, King tells him to shut up whenever he walks in the room.
He eats him.
Yeah. It's again. I'm like, could we not have gotten the slightly more respectful version of MODOK, please?
No, there is no respect. There's no respectful version of MODOK.
Watch the Iron Man animated series and then tell me that.
I can.
MODOK was cool in that series.
He's just like those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle aliens. No, they aren't cool. Anyway, I don't think it's the same thing as the Mandarin because the Mandarin was a fake out. MODOK is not a fake out.
It's not as big as the Mandarin, but it is kind of the same thing of even though the whole point of the MCU is letting the characters be the characters, we have to turn Yellow Jacket into him for no good reason. And I'm like,
I think it was a good reason. I think it, like Maranya said, to go ahead and tie to, especially Ant-Man for one, but also to make use of a character rather than just who cares about Dave from AIM becoming MODOK? No one cares about Dave from AIM.
Honestly, a better way of serving this character, if you wanted to use him in Phase 5, would be wait until Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and have the High Evolutionary make him. Because that actually seems
character.
like
You know, I just gotta say, even Marvel doesn't give a shit about him. He's had 3 different retcons.
And let's not even talk about the Patton Oswalt version because goddamn.
In one of them, he actually was a janitor.
See, Rhaegar, I understand what you're saying, but I can also there are like 3 other people that would say, why did they create a random ass new character when they have all these Marvel characters they could have gone ahead and used? It's the same coin all around. King is the High Evolutionary, and then Dalton cries.
I mean, okay, there is a bit of a problem with the High Evolutionary in the MCU that I foresee happening already. Because if you watched the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer 2 that just came out, you know that this version of the High Evolutionary is hoping to create the perfect society.
Yes.
And that worries me because the High Evolutionary's thing was never about creating the perfect society. It was about creating the perfect being, like the genetically perfect being.
Well, if I just have to say, if Adam Warlock already exists, they already accomplished that.
I mean, okay, but the High Evolutionary could tweak him and make him better, and so on and so forth, because that's what the High Evolutionary do to everything. But that's neither here nor there. My point is
that's right. That's not Ant-Man.
I'm worried about them using the High Evolutionary as some kind of backwards social commentary because of what they did to him and change his goal from making the perfect, the genetically perfect being to creating a perfect society.
When Hank Pym came out with the ants the first time, I know socialism is a heavy word, but no, Hank, please, Hank.
It works for ants because they actually exist in a hive mind. Human beings are individualistic primates. Hey, exactly. What the hell, man? What?
But that is a good plot point because here's another part that is a little loose to me. I just don't understand why he did it. Kang, after getting back his multiversal engine, because he does. They went ahead and they fixed it. It's down there next to him, and he says, "Give it to me." And Scott says, "Okay, where's my daughter? Where's Cassie?" Why didn't Kang just give him Cassie?
Yeah, this whole thing could have been resolved if Kang just like circumstantially gave him what he promised, and everyone would have gone home happy, and then Kang could have ruled the multiverse.
I mean, it's just it's a little odd to me that that's what they would go ahead and.
But the problem is a villain stabbing someone in the back because there's there's benefit to it, that I can understand.
But there's no benefit to keeping Cassie.
But a villain stabbing the hero in the back for no benefit, and in fact completely nerfing his own personal benefit. And as we established prior to this point in the movie, Kang doesn't care one way or the other. So be the like the unscrupulous bad guy for 5 seconds and just live up to your promise. Ant-Man and company, screw off back to the real world. You screw off back to the other parts of the multiverse and conquer it, and then everyone goes home happy, except for presumably all the rest of the Avengers when they realize Scott has told them down the road. But that's not here nor there.
I gotta go ahead and say it's the opposite now, because while I said yes, he had the same goal as the other Kang, as He Who Remains from Loki. At this point, he had built himself an empire, and he makes it clear, I've done this. I've built this empire, and I'm taking it with me. He is conquering everything. He's not creating a secret organization like the TVA to work underneath. He's just full out conquering. Mm-hmm. That way he can stop himself.
But again, I think we're all in agreement that Kang's I can do whatever I want syndrome got the better of him. He should have just lived up to his side of the bargain. It's not even that important of a bargain, dude. Like, just give the man his daughter and everybody goes home happy until you conquer everything.
Yeah. And they could have gone ahead and done that, and Scott gets his daughter and he says, I have everything I need. I have Cassie. She needs to be safe. And then Cassie has to tell him, no. These people down here need us.
You let him win. Yeah.
We gotta do this. It's something important.
I want to talk about these two characters right here in the middle, Zeb and Zolam, are just hilarious. Zeb is the one basically they had to drink his fluid in order they would understand what everybody was saying for Cat, and then he kept trying to probe Scott every time he saw him. Awesome. Basically a standout little side characters, and then Zolam, I don't know, he just shoots freaking like lasers out of his skull. Or I guess is he a robot? Is he a human being? I'm not sure. And then we have a lemur on the right side. So, but some other art though we see here when he's trying. Yeah, this is cool. We get to see a lot. If you love Giant, Ant-Man, or Giant Man, it's called. From Civil War, you get to see a lot of that in this, which is really cool. And they're inside. This is inside the city.
Oh, of course, Giant is a bit of a relative term here because they're all subatomic still. But
yes, and so basically at this point we're here to see the giant blue sphere there. That's King getting ready to take off, and Ant-Man's like, "We had a deal, bro."
So here's the thing. I said that I loved pretty much all of this movie. There is a line of dialogue here where he's charging and he's angry at Kang for keeping Cassie, even though Cassie has kind of broken loose and has started a revolution at this point. That's the subplot. But Scott says, "Our word is our bond, Kang." And it's like, bro, listen, I know you're angry at him, but you don't say weird shit like that. That's
also, this is completely out of character for Scott Lang because need we remind everyone that Scott Lang started life as a thief, a good-hearted thief, like Robin Hood style thief, fine, but Scott Lang is by far and away not a lawful character. He's a chaotic good character. So why would he prioritize the word bond thing?
Scott's also a little different. Well, I think that's because he's learned from mistakes. If Doctor his daughter, so basically he learns that they know your word has to be your bond.
I mean, you could say that. Okay. I also want to say has Scott ever broken a promise? Like he chose to break a promise?
Well,
That we've
I
seen?
mean, the profession of thief kind of implies that sort of, Han Solo-esque ne'er-do-wellism. So like it I don't know, but it didn't make sense to me that Scott was saying that. If another character said that, I wouldn't have a problem. Like if Captain America said that, then yes, that's perfectly in character for him. He's lawful good, but
It's still a
in
weird
D&D
thing to
terms.
say.
Or
You made
Doctor
me a promise. Our word
Honestly,
is our bond.
honestly, I think he's upset, and Scott doesn't swear, so he had
That's
to yell
right.
something.
He couldn't say,
Yeah, okay.
"You fucked up."
It seems very out of character for someone who was, or for the majority of his life, a professional thief. Like,
But he's become better than that,
But
Rhaegar.
was he a professional?
He's become better than that since becoming Ant-Man. He's become a hero. And yes, right now
he was a thief, not a liar.
yeah.
right, but again, like, there are different kinds of good characters. There's, to use the D&D spectrum, there's, neutral good, there's chaotic good, there's lawful good. And being a thief for as long as he was, I sort of expect that he would fall in the chaotic good category. If Captain America or Doctor Strange said that, my word is my bond thing, that makes sense. One of them is the purer than driven snow paladin, and the other one is a sorcerer. They would prioritize the word is bond, but a thief.
I just think it's a weird line to have. But I'm going to go ahead and say again, since we've seen him and becoming Ant-Man, his whole thing is that he has become a better person. He's become a better person. He has become a better dad.
Better doesn't necessarily imply different. He can still be chaotic good and be a better person.
Yeah, I just think he started on his redemption path a while ago, and he's pretty much redeemed. It's just a weird line. Also, I have to say, Scott doesn't die in this movie. Nobody of the core family dies in this movie. And Marani says
I don't know who
they probably could have. They probably could have, and I think that was actually the original ending. Was everyone got stuck down there? But
yeah, I don't know
they
who
pushed out at the last second.
Started that rumor, but
well, there's a piece of dialogue that he goes ahead and says, "Listen, no, he's fighting Kang, and he's Kang's like, you can't win, Scott." And he says, "I don't have to win as long as we both lose." And that made everybody feel, especially with the tone of the trailers, it just felt like it was going to be.
It made sense. And
so,
from what we've heard behind the scenes, that was actually the original ending, and they wished out at the last second. So, also because I'm me and I can be this petty all I want, Doctor Strange did that first. The whole I can lose again and again forever, and that makes you my prisoner thing. That was literally the logic he used on Dormammu. So,
but it wasn't a prisoner thing. It was a sacrifice thing. This is a sacrifice. He wasn't sacrificing. I do not think. I mean, that's the problem with comic books. Then, I mean, the heroes never die. The villains. I guess in the MCU, all the villains die.
It's not a problem. I just think that it probably would have been more poignant if they didn't have to die either way. In the original ending, they were just stuck in the quantum realm.
And listen, I liked Cassie in this movie, but I was not ready to give up Paul Rudd or Scott Lang as Ant-Man. I just wasn't. I'm not ready for that. And I don't want Cassie Lang coming in. I'm the new Ant Woman.
Yeah, that would have come. You're right. It would have come off as them hyping up Stature and then hyping up the Young Avengers or Champion.
We have enough characters that are passing on the torch right now. Okay,
and I want to say, I'm so glad that they didn't make her into a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
That was extremely helpful that they didn't, because I worry, because even though the MCU has handled the SJW Marvel characters better than the comics did, they're still treading on very SJW ice here, and I don't want to. please don't make a Champions movie. Please don't make a Young Avengers movie yet. Like, wait, please.
Yeah, so Cassie throughout the movie, she kind of makes mistakes. So she's
She
there.
is Scott's daughter.
Yeah, she pretty much is. She basically is. She's getting in trouble all the time.
Yeah,
She's got the
she
same
takes after
personality.
her dad.
So anyway, well, all this is going on. She before MODOK, or that's right now. Before what's the name? Kang decides that he's powering his ship up. Before all that, Cassie had been held hostage. She was locked in a prison cell. And now this is a fun scene because we got to see Scott Lang and his daughter before they went the whole court thing. Them two get a little exchange, and he's like, this is my fourth time, and she's like third, being locked up in a jail cell. I thought that was a cool little callback, then showing them bonding. But so anyway, well, so we get to see her inspire a little revolution against the people because she basically, along with the help of another person from there, they basically hack Kang's communicators for a little bit and able to rally people to help. Now, some people say, like, well, he's supposed to be the most advanced person, but if that's true, Kang can't do anything because he doesn't have access to pin particles and all this stuff. So
yeah, and the other thing is he doesn't have all his toys. He doesn't have all his resources.
No. Yes.
This is like the weakest he gets, pretty much.
So I like the fact that they go and basically she basically learns after but listen to her dad. He's basically like just shrink, jump, and tap. Punch. And she finally puts it to use, and she actually starts using it correctly. And he's able to knock out a lot of the robot guards. So I guess I'm just so glad that they actually didn't turn her into doing everything Miss Perfect. She wasn't a Rey. She wasn't a Rey Skywalker or Rey Palpatine, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, she does a lot more.
Rhaegar, what's with your like obsession with death tonight? I mean,
listen, I have a brother.
There's Tony Stark's dead, Black Panther's dead. I mean, I'm trying to think. There's another character that died too. I mean,
Cap's dead.
Oh yeah, Black Widow's dead too.
I will say, yes, it is definitely better than Shang-Chi, Eternals, or Thor: Love and Thunder. Huh?
Yeah, this movie doesn't deserve to be mentioned in the same sentence as Eternals, frankly, because Eternals wasn't just bad. Eternals was everything it shouldn't have been. Eternals was the opposite of what it should have been. The categorical, bizarro world version of what it should have been.
The thing with the anime movies, they're always kind of standalone movies, which I like.
Yeah, honestly, I like this one best out of all three Ant-Mans, because the thing with Ant-Man is I've always felt like he's kind of just an also-ran character, because his stuff is so small scale that it never really touches on anything, and I'm just like,
pun, sir?
Well, it wasn't, but if you want to take it that way, fine. But my problem with Ant-Man up until now has been he never really had his own corner of the MCU. Like, he never represented a particular part of the world building, really. Now he kind of is, because he's acting as a linchpin between the interdimensional stuff of Doctor Strange, the cosmic stuff of the Guardians, obviously setting up for Kang and, of course, the Fantastic Four by proxy. So, now, instead of just being the also-ran, Ant-Man is kind of the glue that holds all the other disparate parts of the MCU together, and I really like that element of this.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, this one had comedy, but it wasn't like the forced comedy, like the first movie or even the second movie. That guy was supposed to be his crew. The guy was supposed to be you know what I'm talking about? His Ned Leeds character.
Oh,
yeah,
the dude in the van who keeps making jokes.
It wasn't. Yeah, this was a lot better than that. There wasn't. The humor was more casual. It wasn't like just like MCU forced humor.
It was far more humorous than Thor: Love and Thunder.
Well, I mean, Jay, I'm cheating on Englentine right now by being on this channel, so
We treat Dalton better. We let him finish his sentences.
That is true. That is true.
Englentine doesn't do that all the time, but it does weigh on my nerves sometimes. The other thing is I've noticed this ever since I started doing my own videos. He changes my titles, and oftentimes I put jokes in the titles, and in particular on my James Gunn reaction video, I deliberately put a joke in the title to evoke a old SNL skit, and he cut out the joke when he reposted it. So I was like kind of annoyed at that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
It's over there on that channel.
We've also already talked about that, so don't anyone yell at Englentine for that.
I'm going to yell at him right now. No, I just want to go ahead and say that I think to the end here, they do fight Kang, though Kang gets to a point because Ant-Man does stop his Empire ship from going into the real world. He does stop that. It goes ahead and causes a ruckus within the chamber, and it knocks over the multiversal generator. And thus, it goes ahead and puts it on hold, and they have to fix it up. And so Kang goes down, and he starts just obliterating the quantum people left and right.
Yeah, and I gotta say, this movie was really dark. By the second act. I mean,
he's called Kang the Conqueror. There's going to be some conquering.
He's just firing like pulsar beams and just literally wiping people out of existence as they're fleeing in terror.
Yeah, because he's Kang. That's what Kang do.
Yeah,
Kang is not to be messed with, man.
I'm trying to think of the MCU movies where it was really like a dark, like a sense like this, kind of like where like because most of them
Multiverse of Madness did that with Wanda.
I think that because he does pause for a moment whenever.
By Sam Raimi though, so that might be what was a little darker.
So the thing is that when Ant-Man, Wasp, and Cassie do come up, he pauses a moment because, as a villain does, he has to go ahead and say, "You should have just left well enough alone, you stupid pieces of shit."
Yeah, my villain monologuing moment tendencies come up.
And he did. He wasn't able to obliterate them because they were changing size on him.
I'm gonna ask you: did you like his little floating desk he walks down in? Kind of reminded me of Miss Marvel.
It was a really cool design thing, and it makes sense for Kang actually because he's basically
just looks so good.
He's basically evil, competent Booster Gold. So
he looks so good. It might be the best costume that we have because just from the adaptation, he has that blue face shield mask that he's supposed to that shows his real face, but it is still blue,
Yeah, and this is only the second iteration of Kang. Imagine how badass they're gonna be by the time we finally get to the end of the quickening.
Yeah, so I gotta say, as far as visual goes, this kind of reminds me of Aquaman.
Honestly, colors. now that we're talking about visuals, Pixel or Puppetine, can we once again commiserate on the fact that this is a better use of visual effects than Avatar was?
Anything is a better use of visual.
Well, I mean, yes, but
I gotta say, my toilet when I flush it, the water going down, it's a better visual effects than Avatar.
I mean, yes, but because people jizz themselves over Avatar's visual effects, even if they don't like the movie, I want it on record that when I say people need to be more creative with how they use visual effects, this is the sort of thing I'm talking about. Because it didn't always look entirely photorealistic, but you know what it had in place of being photorealistic? A reason to look like that. A actual creative use of, we have a blank space that we can turn into anything we want. Let's turn it into something interesting. So yeah, Ant-Man 2, or rather 3, is more visually interesting than Avatar: The Way of Water or the first Avatar. And anyone who disagrees with that can bite me.
It is a genuine invitation. You may bite Dalton, the authenticator. Please brush your
You
teeth
will be
first.
subject to many flurrying boots to the head, but you
So
may.
I am going to go ahead and say that Kang does get overrun by ants. It does have to suck to be the king that gets his ass beat by ants. But, you know,
and
they're super intelligent ants that are introduced at the beginning of the film. It is kind of cool, I think. They developed their own technology. So, listen, we read West Coast Avengers. And there's a storyline where Hank Pym basically can't be Ant-Man anymore. And he has to figure out who he is. And he becomes Professor Pym. That's what Hank Pym is in this movie. It's pretty much that without the, I'm going to blow my brains out beforehand. He is kind of the crazy ant guy. I love my ants. And I love that you love your ants, honey.
I mean, who would Ant-Man be other than someone with an ant obsession? To be fair,
So
how else did Hank get this idea originally back in the 60s? Because again, MCU timeline. Presumably, he was just a nerd who was really, really obsessed with ants.
Yeah,
and so much the better.
So talking about his awesome little costume here, because most of the movie you see him in his like little drapes until he starts to realize that he's a conqueror. Gets a little armor right here, cool stuff. I love the design of the cape, everything on here, the scars down both sides of his face, which I can't remember why they're there, but it must be because
they didn't explain it. I don't think.
Yeah.
Unless I wasn't paying attention, I don't think they explained his scars.
So
he didn't do the Heath Ledger "How I Got These Scars" speech. Although I kind of want there to be a Kang "How I Got These Scars" speech at some point now.
So I gotta ask you, Puppetine, what do you think of that Star Wars cantina? Look at that!
It's a little fancier than a Star Wars cantina, but it was. It looks so good. I want to dig into the quantum realm a little bit more now. I think that it's just so interesting.
And the other thing this movie showed, which I am incredibly grateful for, the vast majority of the movie takes place entirely in a dimension that is not Earth or space. And I need that. Everyone knows me. They know I'm the cosmic weirdness and mystical guy. And frankly, I've been saying this for years, but with regards to the characters whose powers aren't Earth-based, get them the hell off of Earth and keep them off of Earth, please.
Yeah, this is the guy I was talking about before, the guy, the Mind Reader, and
Cheaty.
Yes, and there's a funny scene here of Paul Rudd, Scott Lang, and he keeps thinking of thoughts. He's like, quit being rude. He's like, you have a great power. He's like, dude, I could tell you're judging me in your mind. My forehead looks freaky. So no, bro, I wish I had a forehead just like yours. He's like, I'm just kind of shy right now. It is. The dialogue is awesome.
It's fun.
This is the girl from Z Nation. You might know her as George on there. She's also was in Star Wars.
Beefy woman. She can kick my ass.
And Star Wars: The Mandalorian. She was working on the bridge, the Death Star.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. I think.
Yeah.
I remember.
Short hair. So here we get here. Here you go. Here's my boy right here.
I said the same thing before the movie started. It's my boy Kang. He just looks so good. He owns the role so completely.
Yeah, again, if we have to have another, overarching villain, if we have to have another Thanos, I'm glad it's Kang, and I'm glad that they cast Jonathan Majors as Kang.
Yeah, like I said, he owns the role. He acts arrogant. Dude, I gotta say, and I'm shocked that usually, like I say with the Marvel stuff, with Disney, when we see a lot of the woke stuff, they actually had a character who is of color and is evil.
Yeah, they actually made a character who is diverse rather than being a diverse character.
It is funny that this comes out after, what's his name? The guy from Silicon Valley who was in Eternals. He did say that Hollywood doesn't cast people of color as villains anymore, and it's prejudicial because of that. So
Villains are fun to play. I don't know.
Villains are
I
fun
don't
to
know
play.
when we lost that principle of the society, but yes, villains can be the most fun to play. Let people play them.
we live in a society. Uh,
We
Yeah.
do.
I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, Rhaegar. He was in Bollywood. I don't.
Camille Najani is the one you're
Thank
thinking of.
you. I don't think you can get any more Indian than Bollywood, though.
I mean,
Yeah,
look at this.
Camille Najani is the one you're thinking of.
Look at this world he created inside his prison. He was exiled there, and he just created that. Those are stars of galaxy. Those are like ships and stuff, you know. And
Yeah,
just,
mind you, this is the Kang without all of his toys, who's locked in a box.
yes,
So imagine Kang with all of his toys.
he's building an army, and he's gonna take them for it and just conquer different universes. Because he says, "I'm the good guy here. I'm save you from what's coming."
Yeah, and
Yes,
then
Rhaegar, we all remember Chiwetel Ejiofor being in Serenity, but also he was also Mordo, which I don't mind. Actually, I don't mind him being Mordo.
yeah.
Although I hope we get to see more of him eventually.
Yeah, honestly, Mordo needs to come back. Honestly,
We need Mordo.
Mordo. But
Yeah,
no,
now
I
we're getting
think.
into this stuff.
Oh, thanks for the pictures. So I think that towards the end here, pretty much how it comes to be is they're able to work out a way home real fast. They open up a portal. All of them go through except Ant-Man, because guess who still survived? Kang. That's not a bad thing, Rhaegar. Sure. Julius.
Well, I mean, survives in
No.
the sense of that there's more of him that are going to become an issue
So,
later.
No. He survived the ants. He survived the ants.
So there is two things that happen. MODOK is dead.
Oh yes, because
That happens. He dies as an Avenger.
Shut up! Shut up!
Yeah, no, shut all of that. Doctor Strange isn't even an Avenger, for crying out freaking loud.
Well,
He never joined the team, the Avengers. Therefore, he is not an Avenger.
When he puts on his
more
blue
of an
shirt.
Avenger than Darren.
Well,
So-
obviously yes, but what I mean is, if we're not counting Doctor Strange as an Avenger, and we shouldn't, because the sorcerers always stand apart from the other heroes. By the way, but that's neither here nor there. If we're not counting Doctor Strange as an Avenger, the guy that basically single-handedly won them the fight in Infinity War, we're not counting MODOK or pseudo Yellow Jacket MODOK as an Avenger.
Because Cassie led the rebellion, King sent MODOK to go kill Cassie. They have a cool epic like fight scene and stuff going on here to chase. And then eventually MODOK decides to basically be a hero after she says, "You know what, Darren? You don't have to be a dick. You can choose not to be a dick." And he ends up helping them destroy Kang's time machine, or is basically his ship.
Not his ship. He makes a shield to block himself from the ants.
Oh yeah, the shield, yeah, and he blows himself up. And he's as he's dying, laying there, he reaches at the little baby puppeting hand and touches Scott's face and says, "I was thought of us as brothers." The Scott's below me. He's like, "What?"
No.
And he says, "It's nice to know that I can die as an Avenger."
No.
But
like no joke, I would rather see speaking of David Desmalchin, I would rather see Polka Dot Man from Suicide Squad 2 be an Avenger than I would like to see this version of MODOK be an Avenger.
And Olga Kurylenko is the prototype for Taskmaster. She's not the true Taskmaster. They said in the movie, she's not the real Taskmaster.
I hope not, but then again, who knows?
But knowing Marvel, they like to introduce characters and then never follow through.
It's that, or they just kill them off in one movie, which is another problem I have. Like, guys, maybe if you kept villains around, they could be lasting. They could have lasting impact. Considering lasting impact is the entire goddamn point of having a cinematic universe.
And also, Rhaegar, I'm not selling anything, so you don't have to buy anything. You can believe what you want to believe, and I'll believe what I want to know. Or maybe I do know.
I think
No.
that there is a lot of this movie that is good. King does get beat by Scott. It is a happy kind of ending, except for the small anxiety attack that Scott suffers with his inner monologue, where he's like, life is strange, but it's good.
Yeah, another Avenger of PTSD. Who knew?
I like the fact that Scott, like, everybody's going through the portal, everything's great, and then he pushes Cassie through, and then he gets basically a beatdown, a slug down fight with Kang, where and that's what he says, he's Scott's like, you know what, he says, I don't have to win as long as we both lose, and he basically is getting ready to get killed by Kang, and then of course Wasp comes in, shoots her stingers, they both tag team Kang. And then Kang gets pushed into his little core device and basically gets sucked inside it.
Yeah,
now here's the thing, because
he gets atomized because he was standing too close to the multiverse engine.
Well, knowing Marvel,
and the multiverse engine is messed with both growth and shrinkage.
I was in the pool. So
he basically suffers what Hegon said would happen if you crossed the streams in Ghostbusters.
Yeah. So
yes.
So later on, there's a credit scene. We get to see all the Kangs together, and they said King is dead. Our enemy, the exile, is dead.
The exile, the one we said couldn't be in our club, has died.
Do you know what would be awesome if it turns out he didn't die, and he pops up in Loki?
No, because the version we're getting in Loki is Victor Timely,
which is actually,
or is he?
No, Venkman, we're already dealing with time travel and multiverses. Stop trying to make it even more
confusing.
Dalton, it's the bootstrap theory come to life.
Here's the thing. Not Ben Grimm. I have to stress that. He's not showing up yet.
She thing.
I think it. I say that seriously. I think Loki is a great TV show. I think it might be the best MCU show.
When we can get Ash on comics to like a show, holy shit!
It is a rarity.
He only seems to like the Avatar franchise, which is
mind-boggling.
Freaking,
he likes that more than anything in the MCU. Which He doesn't get invested in any franchise except for the one franchise that it's calculated you could not possibly get into if you tried.
Yes, but we should go back though, mentioning the whole anxiety. Our Palpatine was talking about the whole after they defeat King, they go back. We get to see Macy how it started.
Welcome back.
Yes, and as he's walking around, it's up, and he starts stressing. He's like, "Wait, what if I didn't kill him? What if he's still alive? What if we helped him escape?" And he starts freaking out, and then he's like, nah, whatever.
Does Ash have a thing for the boys? I can buy that. That makes sense. That sort of follows from his sort of semi-nihilistic, cynical outlook.
Well, The Boys is a good show, and it's good.
I mean, The Boys is a better show than it is a comic because both the show and the comics basically whole premise is just to shit on superheroes.
No. Have you read the comic book?
But the show is actually has more to it than just isn't the superhero genre dumb.
Have you read the comics?
Yes, the comics are much worse than the show is. The show takes the base premise and actually makes something interesting out of it.
I disagree. All 80 comics, I loved it, plus the side stories.
The comic was so terrible and cynical. I'm glad I never actually owned a physical copy because I would want to destroy it like freaking Linkara.
Wait. You never owned a physical copy. How did you read it?
Dun. The
Digital
same way you read it, Froggy.
Like everyone else.
In the words of the great...
I only bother getting physical copies of stuff that I am reasonably sure that I'm going to like.
In the
I
great
only have so much shelf space. There isn't enough shelf space for me to sentimentally hold on to all the stuff that I hate.
in the words of the great Harry, dun dun.
What?
Dun dun. Yes, yes.
Resident Evil.
What was that a
Anyway,
reference to? That
Resident
completely flew over
Alien.
my head.
Sorry.
It's
And
an
Marani
inside
was there
joke, I'm
too.
sorry.
She said she was with us, and she says the comic book is not bashing heroes. It's much deeper than most people are willing to see.
I think there's a deep layer, but there's also the. I think that there
The
is
people,
a
edgy-
between
people run with,
superheroes.
now, the
The
problem is that
edgy
people run
punk
with that one
teenager
interview.
superheroes are dumb approach.
People run with it that they base it off that one little interview he did way before he even did the book, and they assume that's what's going on without realizing.
Yeah,
that
because
changed.
that's what he tried to make it. Whether he succeeded in making it that is a different
But instead of
conversation.
telling-
But that's what he
Alrighty,
wanted
alright.
to do.
I am putting my non-existent puppet foot down. We're getting back on topic and wrapping up this stream.
Yeah.
Ant-Man survives. However, the end credits scene, the first one, is going ahead and saying that the Kangs are calling each other. The council has called all the Kangs, and this is implied to be the start of the multiversal war. That's how I feel. I
Yeah,
feel like that's what it is.
The beginning
Yeah,
of
we
the
did see
beginning of
Arena.
Kang Dynasty.
Oh my gosh, the arena of Kangs. Everyone in the crowd is a Kang, and they're all just geeking out laughing.
Yeah. Some of them are a little more crazy than others, but they're all Kang. And also there is one more, and you get to see Kang. So it appears Jonathan Majors
In
introduced
1901 as Victor
yes,
Timely.
Victor Timely. And who's watching in the audience but Loki and Mobius, Agent Mobius. And yes, they was Kangs, and they are great. Kang is the best part of this film.
Yeah,
I
yes. Then the next title of Loki season 2, we was gangs.
I mean, they were.
So ready.
They were.
I'm so ready.
So overall, this movie, giving 10 being like an awesome, the best movie in the MCU, 0 being the worst. I gotta say, it's right up. I'd say it's a 7 for me, 7 or 8.
I find it easier to sort of rank them based on where the other ones are, and with regards to Phase 4 and now 5, it's better than Shang-Chi. It's better than it's better than Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. It's not as good as Multiverse of Madness, and it's not as good as No Way Home. So
I'm on that. I'm
roughly where I
on
put
an
it.
edge. I truly have to wonder, did I enjoy this more than even, I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero.
I
have to say, this might beat this. I just think
this is better than No Way Home.
I think it might be.
I think you both are a little bit unmatched, but that's neither here nor
And
there.
for people going into theaters at 3:00 and saying, "Look, there's no one here," it's 3:00.
Because it's 3:00 and
Yeah.
it's an Ant-Man movie.
Stop.
And by the way, guys, the Ant-Man movies are always the ones that underperform relative to the rest of the MCU because
And I
most of
also
the
wanna
time
point
Ant-Man
out-
is considered an also-ran.
Even before COVID, theaters are just freaking empty during the day, man. Nobody goes to a theater until they see a 7:00 showing at night. That's where everybody goes.
Of
And I
all
mean,
the films,
Ant-Man before COVID, the first one made $519 million. Ant-Man 2 before COVID made $619 million or something like that. So acting like this one is supposed to perform on the level of a Multiverse of Madness or a No Way Home or a Civil War or an Avengers movie is just silly.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the first intro to, the big bad, but Thanos being in the first Guardians movie wasn't what made the first Guardians movie successful. And just like that, Kang being in this movie isn't going to make it super uber successful relative to the other one. It'll probably be the most successful of the three, but it's still probably going to wind up somewhere in the middle as far as like.
Point out is that Marvel and DC doesn't make a difference which movie they are. It's streaming is hurting it because people will wait to watch it on Disney Plus or HBO Max.
Yeah, I really wish Black Adam had done better. It deserved to do better. I deserve to have a Doctor Fate
You were
trilogy as a
never
result
getting
of
a
it.
Dr. Fate movie, and you know it, Dalton.
I'm going to keep insisting that it happens until it does. Until my dying day, I am going to advocate for a Dr. Fate movie directed by Wes Anderson, starring Matt
Wait,
Smith as
hold the
Kent Nelson,
process.
with
Actually,
Did you
Oded
say Wes
Freyr.
Anderson?
Hold on,
Yeah,
I just got a phone call from James
with
Gunn.
Oded Freyr as the voice of Naboo, and Rebecca Ferguson as Enza.
Dalton,
That
I
is
just
what I
got
want.
I just got off the phone call with James Gunn. He said Jared Stevens will be the next Dr. Fate.
I hate you. I will burn everything you love to the ground, Beckman. I swear
A
to
little
God.
dramatic there, Dalton.
You will perish in blood and fire.
I'm going to just go ahead and
Can't
say...
I just watch Avatar 2? It's the same thing.
I'm going to forcefully marry you to Amber Heard. That is how much this joke has
Hey,
blood.
hey,
you know,
you might get things cut off, but she is hot.
I'll just say this: at least she's loyal.
Lies. James Gunn is
If
making
you
Danny
survive her,
DeVito.
that is.
Overall, I think this movie is actually really good. I don't understand why
I don't know what the
people
critics were smoking either. It's like
No, it's not even critics. It's not even critics, because you have the black pills going ahead and saying, "Oh, we can easily attack Ant-Man because the critics don't like it." I guess. What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's not like the critics' opinion has ever mattered before. But when they agree with us, then all of a sudden the critics are sacrosanct and we can't question them.
Because there are people out there who simply do not care.
Want superhero genre to fail because social justice.
There are critics who basically are tired of this whole superhero thing. They want to watch the superhero genre die. But there's critics that are mad because there's nothing woke in this movie.
I haven't heard that, but you know what? Maybe.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, considering there are some critics who literally only can view things through the social justice lens. And unfortunately, on our side, there's the Bizarro universe version of that, where they will intuit wokeness where none exists, just so they can hate it.
He said the word socialism. It's the end of the world.
Yeah, America Chavez was confused that we have to pay for food in our universe. That's a socialist dog whistle, derp. Or it was just a joke, and she's a child.
Are they upset because there's a loving family? You got a guy who actually loves his daughter, supported by his girlfriend. I think actually they're not even married yet, are they? That's the other way.
Yeah, the wokesters hate it for reasons. The anti-wokesters hate it for other reasons. Neither of them knows what the fuck they're talking about.
And I just want to watch Kang. Okay,
I'll guarantee you, this is what's going to happen. They're going to say, "Oh, look, Hope took over Pym, whatever company, Hank Pym's company, and what is Ant-Man doing? Paul Rudd? Then he's just the guy who shows up with her, the arm candy.
Yeah, he's a celebrity because he wrote a book.
He's a freaking Avenger, man. He wrote a book.
He's smarter than him. Oh. Anyway, I'm tired. And I'm so tired of people who just want to hate on things. And that's how this channel started.
By no means is this movie perfect. There are things to hate about it if you want to hate things, but like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you can find that in any movie. Just like I hate all Wes Anderson films. But that's another topic for another day. We're going to go ahead and ask for your thoughts. If you've watched this review all the way through, what is wrong with you? At the same time, thank you. Please make sure to leave a comment down below. Also, like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. Check out the Ko-Fi if you can. We do comic book readings every Friday and Sunday, and we do reviews on Wednesday nights. So be on the lookout for those. And check out Dalton over on where are you found, Dalton?
I am found in a lot of different places, but I am found primarily at the moment on I Love Movies with Anglantine. We just did our review for this movie as well, if you want to see my further expounded thoughts. I also am found every Sunday on Podcast of the Storm with my friend the Brainstormer of Pop Culture, and sometimes also Corrupt shows up. And I am found every Wednesday, or at least we try for every Wednesday, on The Duality of Man with Mr. E2099, where we discuss men's rights and men's issues, if that's something y'all are interested in. So, yeah. Also, I have my own channel, but I never post there. So, if you don't want to subscribe to that one, I totally understand. But it is called The Authenticator if you want to find it. Anyway, that's where you can find me.
Yeah, no, I never need to
also
see
find
another.
Dalton in his home.
I never just need to see another Moonlight Kingdom or Grand Budapest Hotel ever again. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to see you next time. And stay quantum. Is that a phrase we can use? I know.
All I
Bye.
gotta say is, watch out for the little guy.
Watch out for the little guy. Goodbye.
Cheers, guys.